The best business to start in 2026 is a door-to-door window cleaning business. And I say this from a non-biased point of view, right? Here's a list of a ton of other businesses that you can start as a high school student or a university college student, right? For other home service businesses, you have gutter cleaning, right? Interior or exterior. You have siding cleaning, vinyl cleaning, roof cleaning, brick cleaning, pressure washing, lawn care / landscaping, garbage removal, pool cleaning, right? There's a ton of other home service businesses that you can start, and they're actually pretty good. Now here's some other door-to-door businesses, like if you work for like an agency, right? Like a pest control, like a solar agency, right? Obviously got pest control, solar, satellite and internet, right? So these are all things that you can sell door to door and be like a salesman, but make a commission, right? So you don't actually own the business, you're just selling as a salesman, which are also extremely good because you get a ton of experience door to door, right? Which we'll get into later in the video, right? There's a ton of other online businesses that you can start as well, right? You got life insurance sales, right? You got stocks, crypto, real estate, YouTube automation, social media influencer, content creator, streaming, coaching, personal brand, affiliate marketing. You can become a high ticket closer or a setter. You get into drop shipping or e-commerce, SMMA, right? Video editing. There's a ton of online businesses that you can start. And here's the thing is a lot of you guys watching this video right now have probably started one of these businesses, right? If it's not online, it's probably been one of the home service businesses. A lot of these times, right, before you have a business that succeeds, right, you try one of these that has failed. Now here's the thing. All of these work. They do work. Right? Now, there's a time and a place for each and every one of them, and there is a massive advantage to going into a business when you have a lot of money, and there's a massive disadvantage to going to a business when you have a little amount of money. And so before I get into the details, my overall point of this video is for you guys to understand that all of these businesses work, and there is people making money in every single business that I just mentioned here, right? Now, the best one for you to start is going to depend on your experience, right? It's going to depend on how good you are at sales, at marketing, at fulfillment, right? Are you confident in what you do? And on top of that, right, your age and where you're at in your life, and the amount of money that you have, right? The amount of capital, right, that you need to invest into your business when you start, right? And so all these businesses work, but depending on where you're at in your life, right, with all the things I just mentioned, will depend on what is the best business to start at that time, right? And that is exactly what this video is going to be about, right? And so you have other businesses here as well. You got reselling, right? You can sell sneakers and electronics, right? Buy low, sell high, right? All that kind of stuff. I have a buddy who ran a landscaping business for a while, and on the side, he would buy like broken things on Facebook Marketplace, things like tractors and different dirt bikes and like anything with like an engine. He would fix it up, clean it up, and he would resell it for higher, right? And he made money on it, right? Because he is good at that skill. He already has the skill set. He already has the knowledge and the experience of understanding how engines work and the different parts and the different pieces that he needs to fix them up. He knows what's a good deal, what's a bad deal, right? He knows the industry well. So he has an advantage, which is why it makes sense for him to, continue reselling because he's making money, he's making a profit, and it's worth his time. He also enjoys it, right? So he does more of it. So that makes sense for him. But if you do not have any experience with reselling, why would you get into reselling? Now, obviously there is a ton of options here that you can start, right? Your goal is really just to make money, right? Any goal of any business is simply to make money. It's a simple metric to track whether a business is, growing and doing well, or it's failing and it's on the verge of, bankruptcy or going under. Right? And so I'm going to talk to you guys about, before we get into why door-to-door window cleaning is the best business, I'm going to simply tell you guys why door-to-door is the best option, period, right? Regardless if you sell window cleaning or if you sell any of these home service business, or if you become a salesman for any of these, types of business as well, like pest control, roofing, satellite, internet, all that kind of stuff. Number one is door-to-door is completely free, right? All other business industries, most of these, right, require you to invest a lot of money into them right away. And I'm not even talking about the skill set, like getting a mentor or a coach. I'm talking about the actual legitimate business itself, right? In order to go into, let's say, stocks or crypto, you need money, right? In order to go into real estate, you need a fuck ton of money, right? Drop shipping and e-commerce, right? You need a lot of money to begin with to buy the product so that you can eventually sell it online, right? And so there's a ton of businesses that require you a ton of capital before you even launch them, which is why from a high school to a university student, it doesn't make sense investing a ton of money into something when you're not even confident if it's going to work or not. So all of the businesses industries require you to invest a lot of money. Now, besides organic content, right, or already paid for leads from a company that you're working with, like life insurance, right? So you just like you have a lead list, and you just call them up, right? You'd be like, hey, how's it going, right? You go through your pitch, right? Everything else requires you to pay for marketing just for the leads, right? And so door-to-door is completely free. And if we think about it as a business standpoint, right, this is simply the marketing. This is how you are showing people what you do. This is you getting eyeballs in front of your product or service, right? And so number one, door-to-door is completely free. You don't have to pay for going out to knock doors. You don't have to pay every time you knock a door door, like, oh, I got to give the homeowner $1 because I knocked their door. Like, no, I mean, that'd be kind of crazy. Maybe that's the future of where the world is going. It's 2026. It's kind of messed up already. So who knows? But as of now, right, I'm recording this video April 12th, 2026, right, at 9 a.m. It's free. You can go out and knock as many doors as you want, as many times as you want, and you will never have to pay a single dollar, right? So you can do that anytime and it's completely free, right? Number two is it only requires your energy and time. That is it. Those are the only two metrics that you're giving up, right? So you go door to door, right? You're running or you're walking, right? You might feel tired, right? Whatever. You're giving up your energy, right? And number two is time. And chances are, if you are, a high school or university student, your time's not that valuable anyways. So you have a ton of it and it's not that valuable, which means that you can spend a lot of it, right? And so number two is it only requires your energy and time. Number three is the leads and people you offer your services to are endless. You will never run out of doors to knock no matter where you live. I don't care if you live in the suburbs, some random ass town, if you live in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. I'm from a small town near Toronto. Now, Toronto's a big city, right? I got a lot of areas to cover, right? We're more close to London. I'm from a very small farm town, and within the first couple days of running my business with my brother, right, we only worked in our town, and we were able to make a couple $1,000s simply by knocking doors and selling to homeowners in our town. We didn't actually leave our town and go to a different city until the second or third week that we were running our business. And so the leads are endless, and you will never run out of doors. And if you live in a really small town, you need to find a way to get in front of more people by going to bigger towns, going to different cities, right? And everyone has that ability. If you live in Canada or the States, right, I do not care. You have that ability. I don't care if you live crazy far away and you're just somehow born in some random ass village in the middle of fucking Timbuktu, right? I do not care. You can find a way to find civilization, to find neighborhoods to knock, and they are endless, okay? Number four is you can knock anytime at any age. Anytime you want, you can knock doors. If it's winter, you can knock. If it's super hot outside, you can knock, right? And there's no age restriction, right? You can be 15. My brother was 14 years old when he started knocking doors, right? I'm sure there's guys watching this who maybe you're even younger, right? And so there's guys who are super older who run this, who do this full time, who are have a family and kids and wife and everything, and they're 40 to 50 years old. They knock doors, right? And they do sales, right? And so you can be any age and do it any time, which means that it's open to so many people. Number five is you can knock any class of neighborhoods, poor, middle class, rich, and make a ton of money in all areas. Now, side note, right? Different services and products require a different customer, meaning you may want to stick to a certain type of neighborhood so that you find more of the ICP that you're looking for, right? And so depending on what you are selling, right? A product or a service, right? Am I running my own business or am I just a salesman, right? Depending on everything that we talked about previously and your situation, right? Is going to depend on, what kind of customer do I want to buy this, right? What is the most ideal, customer profile that I want to buy this? So for example, if I'm selling, window cleaning, right? Easy example. Theoretically, anyone can buy window cleaning, whether it's poor, middle class, or rich, right? I've sold in the depths of, some of the most broke, garbage neighborhoods. And I've also sold in the most rich, crazy mansion neighborhoods for over $1,000 per job, right? And so you can sell both. It's a matter of what's worth my time and who's going to get the best out of this product or service that I'm selling, right? Who is the kind of person that would buy this? Is it someone who doesn't have a lot of time, but they have a lot of money and they would find it very valuable, right? That now you want to search for that kind of person. Now, if this is someone that, if your product or service is like gutter repair, right? Don't go knocking a massive, rich neighborhood, because chances are those homes are going to be super new and they're not going to need your service anyways, right? You want to go somewhere where the gutters are broken, right? Older homes that, maybe have been around for a long time, where people still value their home, right? I'm not talking about some, crazy low level neighborhood. I'm talking about, middle class, right? Where a lot of the neighborhoods, sometimes they're older, right? And so depending on what you are selling will depend on where you want to knock doors, and depending on if you're running your own business or you're just selling as a salesman for one of the other companies that we mentioned above. All in all, you can sell anyone. Anyone can really buy your product, but there's going to be an ideal customer that would buy your product more often, and there's going to be people that typically aren't interested, but sometimes you can sell them, right? Now let's get into the juice, right? Why you should start a door-to-door window cleaning company. Now, my brother and I run a door-to-door window and eaves cleaning company. This is the way we run it because a lot of the times we sell the windows and then we'll upsell the eaves. We're from Canada, Ontario, so a lot of the outside of the gutters are super dirty all the time. So while we have the water-fed pole, we can scrub them down. It looks amazing. It looks really good. Completely transforms the home. Homeowners are super happy. So it makes sense for us to be a window and eaves cleaning company because we live in an area where that is a huge demand, right? And so with us already being there, we have the equipment. It does a great job. It just makes sense. So number one is cash collect money at the end of the day. A lot of these businesses, and I'll give you guys examples for every single one that we talk about. Pest control, solar, roofing, satellite internet, right? All these other businesses where you would be a salesman, you have to wait months to get paid. And I've heard a lot of horror stories about guys working working for these companies, selling a lot of commissions, right? And not getting paid, right? Their commissions were cut in half, or a lot of these guys, they sold jobs and they never got paid at all. And so when you work for one of these other, industries, these other agencies, you need to be aware that you can get fucked over, right? Even if you get contracts, you make a lot of deals, it all seems legit, right? If they say, oh no, we're going to pay you out in a couple months after the installation or after the job is complete, and it doesn't happen, you're fucked and you can't do anything. And so all that time, effort, and energy you spent, right, was pretty much for nothing besides the experience and I guess the lesson. You paid for the lesson from your commissions, right, that you didn't get paid. So just be aware, like, number one is when you start a door-to-door window cleaning company, you cash, clean, and collect the same day. You make the money that same day. You leave your house in the morning and you come home with cash in your wallet. And I'm talking cash. I'm not even talking about payment processors. I'm not even talking about, even like e-transfers. If you're from the States, it would be like Zelle or like Venmo. I'm talking about cash in your hand from homeowners after you sell the job. Right now, if you do these jobs, you have your own business, right? You will relate to this. You will understand exactly what I'm talking about if you run any of these businesses, gutter cleaning, whatever. But I'm talking about specifically just window cleaning, for example, or I guess this overall topic of like running your own home service business. You cash, clean, and collect the same day, especially window cleaning, because it's not a big job. You don't have to wait weeks or months for the materials to come in. And that's another thing, right? Is window cleaning is same day. You sell the job, right? And you clean it and you get paid. It's a 1, 2, 3 process, and it all happens the same day. You don't have to wait around. And so just be aware. Number one, and this is massive, is you clean and collect the cash the same day. I'm not just talking about payment process. I'm also talking about physical cash, which is extremely important, which is a huge thing when you start your business, is seeing the money that you're making in your hands. It hits different than if it's just like a number on a screen. It's like, oh, whatever. But when you have $1,000 in your hand from jobs that you've sold the same day, that hits different, right? And that's a different level of motivation in your business and milestones and all that kind of stuff. So number one is huge. You cash, clean, and collect the same day, right? With starting your window cleaning business. All right, boys. So number two is the barrier to entry is extremely low, right? Now you can leave your house tomorrow, right? Go out, talk to some strangers with a basic script, right? No crazy training, no experience. Find the people who are looking for window cleaning and that need your services, right? Now here's the crazy part. Even if you've never done this before, you can sell the job, then go buy the materials you need, search up a quick YouTube tutorial video on how to clean the windows with a mop and a squeegee, Dawn dish soap, and a microfiber cloth. Learn how to clean the windows after cleaning a couple of the windows, right? You know how to do it. And then make your first $250 after an hour of doing the job, right? You start with no expenses and zero life and business and sales experience, and you make money the same day. I can't make this up. You can literally do this, right? And we've done this, right? And this is how you start, right? This is how you start. You have no experience, you have no business experience, no sales experience, right? And you have no overhead expenses, right? You sell the job and then you fulfill it. You don't spend a ton of money buying the pressure washer and buying the water fed pole and buying all this shit for your business. I'm gonna make this happen. I'm like, no. You sell the job first. You have the money. You can put a contract in your first job if you really want. But window cleaning, we've never done contract. We've done 4,000 jobs, never done a contract. It's just dumb. You don't need to. Now contracts are good for other businesses, but for window cleaning specifically, you do not need it, right? And so what I'm saying is you can go out, sell the job, get commitment from the homeowner that they want the services done, tell them when you're going to come by, go buy the equipment, go search up the YouTube video, do what you got to do, come by, do the job, and get paid. And you can do this with no experience, right? And so that's number two. Is crazy. Like, what other business can you do that, bro? What other business? I'm trying to think. Look at all these businesses up here, right? What other business are you able to do that with no experience, no equipment, and next to no understanding of how the whole system works? You got a basic script, you knock some doors, you sell a job, you clean the windows, you get paid. Barrier to entry is the lowest it's ever been for door-to-door window cleaning. Okay, number three is you can run your own business and have as much freedom as you'd like. You can knock doors when you want, do what you want, because you have the ability to make as much money as you want. The amount of input that you put in, the amount of volume you put in correlates to how much money you're going to make in life overall, but especially in this game of door-to-door. And so if I want to take a day off, I can. The first year I ran my business, right, I would take one worker, and I still had very okay sales experience. Like, we had mentors and everything, and we would sell a couple $1,000s in a day, my brother and I. But there'd be days where I'd go out and I just want to take one worker. I'd book up his entire day within a couple hours, and then I'd just grab my fishing pole and find a pond nearby and go fishing with a monster. You can do whatever you want on the doors. It doesn't really matter. There's no blueprint. There's no oh, you have to do this way. Like, there's none of that. You get to do exactly what you want and have as much freedom as you'd like every single day that you go out, because it's your business, right? And at the same time, you have the ability to make money anytime you want. So why would you stress about it, right? That's another point I could put on here, but you have the freedom in this business, right? And a lot of other businesses, right, as you scale, as you get bigger, for sure, you're going to have more, people you have to look after. You're going to have all these expenses. You're going to, the more you scale. But when you start, you have the most freedom, and you can do literally whatever you want in this game. Like, you could book up your worker's day and go do whatever you want, check up with them at the end of the day, and you're you're good to go. Now you want to make sure that you have good systems in place. You're not just messing around, but at the same time, you can have all the freedom that you want. If you want to sell $1,000 in one day and take the whole week off, you can. Do I recommend that? No. Do I recommend selling for mediocrity? No. But you have the ability, and it's the freedom, right, that most, high school and university students are after, right? That younger, 17 to 21-year-olds, they're after the freedom, and you get that with your business, okay? Number 4 is, with enough people to talk to per day, it will guarantee you make more money from one singular sale than most people who work the 9 to 5 make in their entire days of work. One $250 job makes more money than most people who work all day. Simple as that, right? $250, one job. Now, my brother and I will sell about 8 jobs a day, which is why we pull in $2K a day each, right? Which is why we've done 7 figures in 3 years with a sales team. But you can sell $250 and make more than most people make in a single day. People work 8 hours all day, every day, slave away their life, and you sell that in one job. Now, this is a mind shift, right? What's going to happen in this video, or if you're out there and you actually do sell some jobs, right? You take action, you make this happen, you will enter a point where your belief on money changes, your view on money, your view on the world, of how everyone is slaving away, making so much money. Everyone in your family and your whole family lineage is so poor and broke, they're slaving away. And little you comes around and you're 17 or 18 and you go out and you sell $250 and you make more than your parents who've been slaving away their entire life. Next level stuff, bro. Next level. Number 5 is the margins are extremely high, right? The initial investment of equipment when you first start, and then maybe a vehicle, a couple payments of insurance, gas, whatever it is. You sell $250, you clean it yourself, and you just made 100% profit margins with 0 sales experience and 0 business experience, right? And on top of that, you basically have no overhead because you pay for the equipment, you pay for whatever you need to fulfill the job after you sell it. You sell it first, and then you fulfill on the job. The water fed pole and DI tank is typically $3K. You don't need to buy that right away, right? You sell the job, and then you buy the materials with the money that you made. You can even ask the homeowner for a deposit and then use that money to buy the equipment, fulfill the job, then you make money. Unbelievable structure. Very few businesses have a 100% profit margins when you first start. Like, this game is just different. This door-to-door window cleaning is a glitch in the matrix. In most businesses, you have marketing, right? You pay for the marketing. You have the sales where you have to sell the job, right? And that's more the skill set. And then and marketing is a skill set too, but more so sales is like the ability to sell, right? You also have to have the ability to market. So I guess you have the marketing, which you have to pay for and have the skill set. You have the sales, which is the skill set, right? Which you don't have to pay for unless you have a worker, like a salesman that you bring on, whatever. But number 3 is you have the fulfillment of like doing a good job, making sure you have a good reputation, all that kind of stuff. This covers all of them, and it's free, and you can do it anytime with no experience, with no money. So that is why we call it a glitch in the matrix. And there's probably like a couple like little things that I'm missing that you guys might pick up on. But this is overall, like this is the glitch in the matrix. This is not supposed to exist, but it does. And so we might as well abuse the fuck out of it and become absolutely rich. Number 6 is the business model is extremely scalable, right? More workers, more DI tanks, more water fed poles, more salesmen. You get into reoccurring jobs. So instead of doing one-time cleans, you start doing reoccurring sales, right? You start to hire sales leaders who run their own branch of your business, which is what my brother and I are currently doing with ClearWater as we speak. Which is our window cleaning business, regional managers who look after their own areas, right? This is the most scalable business model. Now, what's crazy, what you need to be careful of is, wanting too much when you're not ready for it. So a lot of people say, oh, I want so many salesmen, I want a big truck and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, that's great, bro. That's awesome. But you can't teach someone how to sell if you don't know how to sell. So let's work on your sales skills first. Let's work on, building your house on the rock rather than the sand, so that it doesn't collapse later on when you bring out 3 to 5 salesmen and they realize that they don't have the belief within themselves, you have a bad culture, that your sales training is off, right? It's a step-by-step process, right? You go to sales and then do the job, right? And then you hire a worker to do the job and then you focus on the sales, right? Then maybe you hire 2 workers, then you get a little more equipment, right? There is a step-by-step process on how to do everything, which could be a whole nother video in of itself that I make. But number 6 is it's extremely scalable. So even if you start when you're 17, your parents are like, oh, it's not good long-term, it's too risky. It's less risky than going to uni and getting $100K worth of debt. Tell you that. If you want to watch the video, I'll link that down below that I made. But it's extremely scalable, and if anyone who tells you this business model is not scalable is an idiot. They're a retard, and I would probably stop talking to them forever, okay? So number 7 is repeat business, right? So cleaning the same homes a couple times a year, but also setting them up on a subscription plan so that the homeowners are automatically locked in, right? Where you can start to generate annual recurring revenue in your business, right? You don't need to knock doors forever, right? You can get a Google page, start developing an online presence through ads in the future, right? Our business has over 900 5-star reviews, and we've we've started 3 years ago and have cleaned and collected over 4,000 homes, not including the homes that we've serviced multiple times per year, right? So number one is you could clean the same home a couple times a year. Great, awesome. Just text them or call them when you're coming by. Number two is you get them on a subscription plan where they are automatically charged when you do the job, but they are locked into a plan with a credit card on file, right? And this is what a lot of the window cleaning companies are doing, including ours nowadays, where we want to start generating recurring revenue, right? To generate equity in our business so that eventually when we sell it, right, we have something to sell, right? Rather than just like a business name and a massive lead list, like 99% of average companies, right? You want contracts on file, right, with homeowners who are ready to pay for the next year or the next couple years, whatever the contract is, so that you have something real to sell. And then later in the line, right, you get a Google page or you start developing an online presence through ads. I've never ran a single ad for window cleaning. It is something I might consider doing in the future once we have better systems in place for having different crews going out to different areas instead of one massive crew to one area like we've been running the business, right? That's why we were able to clean, our best day was 40 homes cleaned in a single day. Now we had about 6 salesmen. It was me and my brother, and then we had about 10 different like workers and tanks and brushes and all this kind of stuff. And we ended up doing about 10K that day. And so going from that to doing Google ads and everything, it just didn't really make sense at the time, but it's something that you can consider for the future, right? And so there's a time and a place for every aspect of the business, and eventually you might get to a point where we want to start running Google ads, which we might run in the future, but we've never done it, to be honest. And so all that aside, right, if you're not convinced at this point, I don't know, but maybe this will push you over the edge. Logically, right, it makes sense. So $250, one sale a day, 4 days a week is $1,000. It's $1,000 every single week. $1,000 a week times 4 weeks is $4K a month. Right? Pretty simple, right? At one job sold a day, you make the same money than most people who make in Canada and the States who work full-time jobs every single day, right? They work all day, every day, let's say, Monday to Friday. Maybe they work Saturdays, overtime, whatever. But overall, you make the same amount than most average people, okay? All right, boys, so I want to show you guys the numbers of what it actually looks like when you guys start to scale this business and incorporate even like the smallest change can make you the most amount of money, right? So let's look at the starter, for example, right? So we make, $170 a day, one job, average $250, 4 days a week. It's about $170 a day after expenses. Again, this one's net, so it's like, calculating some gas, stuff like small stuff like that, right? And so $680 a week and then $27.20 a month, right? Not that great. Now, what if we start getting dialed in? Instead of working 4 days a week, we work 5 days a week, and then we also sell one more job per day. So it's $440, okay? $2,200 a week, and we make $8,800 per month. Now, what we were making an entire month here, right? We're making a little bit close to that in an entire week. So we go from $27.20 a month all the way to $8,800 a month on average, right? From working 1 extra day a week and selling 2 jobs a day instead of 1. Crazy, right? Now, what if we start upselling? This is where you make a ton of money. My brother and I have made so much money upselling. It's crazy. It's a cheat code, right? And there's a process on how we do it, of like showing Homer the part where it's super clean, right? Bringing them out, probing into the pain, right? All that kind of stuff, right? Now, what if we start doing 2 jobs a day, average of $400 per job, right? And we start to hire workers. So now we're more focused on selling the jobs, and we have guys who are cleaning the jobs, right? So more of our time is freed up towards selling, and we have guys cleaning. So average $640 a day, right? Again, we're working 5 days a week, right? That's $3,200 per week. Now we've just made over 10K a month simply from 2 jobs a day, right? Hiring a worker, working 5 days a week, and upselling a couple jobs, right? So the price per home is just a little bit more, 12.8K in a single month from that, right? Now, what if we get a salesman, right? Boom. Now we just double everything because we teach someone how to do exactly what we do under our company, right? So now we got $1,280. Now we go into $6,400 a week, which is $25K a month, boys. Now, if we get a full team, we're doing just fucking crazy numbers, right? 3+ salesmen, workers on all the jobs, right? 5 days a week, we're doing 12.8K a week. We're doing 51K a month. This is realistic, boys. This is the process. This is what my brother and I have done the past 3 years, although our best month was double this because we just doubled everything here. Yeah, we had 6 salesmen straight up. Actually, we did. We had 6 salesmen, and we had my brother and I, but we were more focused on like getting them dialed in. We had a manager, 15-passenger van, all that kind of stuff. Over 13 DI tanks I bought. So our best month was over 100K in rev a month. And so this structure, this plan is extremely doable and extremely scalable if you incorporate everything where it's supposed to be. And the smallest change can make the biggest impact in your business financially. And so it comes back to, what if you got better equipment, more money? You work 5 days a week, more money. You sold 2 jobs per day for a total of $500, right? Instead of 1 job a day, right? More money, right? Pricing your jobs higher, start upselling, work on a skill set, right? And I didn't even talk about this. You start working on a skill set, right? You get a mentor or a coach, someone to teach you how to actually sell rather than, just say some random script and sell the jobs that you could, that anyone could sell, right? You start dialing in script, tonality, body language, verbal cueing, objection handling, the psychology, the mentality, all those kind of things. Now you turn into a 2K, 3K, my brother's best day was 4K in a single day, salesman, because you have the skill set, right? You start to hire workers to clean all the jobs, so you focus on selling, and now you start to hire salesmen that you could train to become just like you once you're selling 2K a day, which is 8 jobs at 250, right? Straight up. So now guys, this is where you start to make a real business, right? That small idea that you had of going out, knocking some doors in your hometown, making a couple $100 per day, right? It turns into a structured, solid business, which will allow you to set the rest of your life up for success, right? Through the skill set, the experience, the money you make, you can invest that into other businesses, continue to scale your business. And so all in all, boys, the best business you can start in 2026 as someone who's in high school, someone who's in university, right? Anyone from age, literally any age, but ideally, age 17 to 21, right? Is a door-to-door window cleaning business for these reasons. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, man, I want to say congratulations, because you're probably already in the 1%, given most people nowadays can't really focus on anything and their dopamine receptors are completely fried with social media and short form content. So frankly, if you made it this far, you're already on the right path, brother. So congrats to you. But if you guys do have any questions at all about anything I talked in this video, or you're looking for some advice, leave them in the comments down below. I'll be sure to respond to every single one of them. Now, if you are serious about starting and scaling your door-to-door home service business and you're looking to make a ton of money, DM me on Instagram letting me know that you've watched this far in the video, and I will know that you are serious about making this happen, and we will see if it would make sense for you to work one-to-one with my brother and I. But if you guys did enjoy this video, let me know down below, leave a like, and I will see you guys in the next one.